Welcome to the BurbNBougie News Recap. This episode is all about the economy, employees, and what companies are going through currently. Go ahead and give me a listen. Let me know which video resonates with you the most. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. These companies about tired of folks stealing from them. CVS and Home Depot follow Walmart with new ways to combat theft. All three companies are trying some pretty bold ways to cut down on folks stealing their stuff. Seemingly every retailer has talked about theft as a growing problem. You can blame some of the issue on lower staffing levels and automatic checkout, leading to an increase in both intentional and unintentional shoplifting. Some retailers, including Walgreens, have tried stores where most items are behind security. That system can vary from unwieldy locked shelves that you can see in many big city stores to more novel systems where customers essentially order from a kiosk and have their items brought to them. Walmart recently took the extreme step of closing one Atlanta store with plans to reopen it with on-site police station. Wow, that was a solution the retailer came to after talking with community leaders who did not want to see the city lose the retail giant, which has closed some locations in Chicago. In theory, the mere presence of police officers should serve as a deterrent to criminals. That's a similar strategy to an idea CVS has been trying in New York. The company has not added a police station to any of its stores, but it has added a type of law enforcement. It's added police dogs, security dogs. CVS executives have been talking about how online marketplaces increase in-store theft for the past few years. Essentially, they believe that digital retailers provide a market to sell stolen items. The company leaders have not commented on theft during their past two earnings calls, but the chain has faced the same issue as many of its rivals. That includes an uptick in shoplifting and organized retail crime. Those numbers have gone up across the industry. This year's study found that the shrink rate in fiscal year 2022 increased by 1.6%, up from 1.4% in fiscal year 2021. When taken as a percentage of the total retail sales in 2022, that shrink represents $112 billion in losses. Jesus. To fight that, CVS, through a deal with the 34th Street Partnership, a New York City organization dedicated to promoting business, has added security dogs in front of one of its locations. The dogs aren't only protecting CVS, but also neighboring stores. Security guards with dogs are currently stationed outside of CVS on 34th Street, on 34th and 8th, among other locations. While the dogs are obviously unable to detect shoplifting behavior, the 34th Street Partnership Vice President Ken Ward said their presence outside the stores imitate would-be thieves. The pilot program appears to be working as known shoplifters have walked by the CVS and not gone in. Home Depot works with law enforcement. While some crime is what you would consider traditional shoplifting, many retailers have talked about an increase in organized retail crime. Organized retail crime is the large-scale theft of retail merchandise with the intent to resell the items for financial gain. Home Depot worked with law enforcement in Florida to take down a crime ring that had targeted its stores. The criminals were arrested after an investigation by the Florida Organized Retail Crime Exchange Task Force, according to a press release from State Attorney General Ashley Moody. A Pinellas County pastor, Robert Dale, is facing charges for operating a multi-million-dollar theft ring stealing from the Home Depot. Geez, a pastor. Pastor Robert Dale. So keep that name. Multi-million-dollar theft ring stealing from Home Depot. Authority arrested Dale and 4 other associates for stealing merchandise worth $1.4 million from the home improvement stores across multiple counties and then selling the items on eBay. Moody's office called the crimes a years-long effort that involved multiple Home Depot locations. This pastor clearly skipped over the commandment, "Thou shalt not steal." We will not tolerate organized retail theft in Florida, and my office will continue to combat these criminal organizations. Like Walmart and Home Depot, more retailers have been working directly with law enforcement to find local solutions to increase theft problems. Folks out here stealing, and companies will continue to close down in neighborhoods if folks can't get it together. Yeah, go ahead, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, share. So this is a good one from Forbes. New research blasts outdated myths that women lack ambition at work. Let's get into this. McKinsey's 2023 Women in Workplace report was recently released, and a high level finding was that women continue to be just as ambitious as men at every level of the career pipeline. It reports that 96% of women say their career is important to them, and 81% are interested in being promoted to the next level. This complements the findings from a recent study by Berkeley Haas professor Laura Cray and Vanderbilt's Jessica Kennedy that shatters the outdated myth that women don't ask for more money. The study found that professional women now report negotiating their salaries more often than men. The clear conclusion is that women lacking ambition at work is a myth. But why do these outdated ideas persist? Cray's paper outlines several common assumptions when it comes to pay requests, such as men are typically less risk averse, women have lower salary expectations, women compete less and have more humility, and women don't ask as often. But Cray makes an even stronger point. Well, no one has looked at the data, she says. And as early as 2003, with the book Women Don't Ask, and further reiterated by Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In, these lagged views are being perpetuated going forward. But according to Cray's research, the trend of women not asking for more started to reverse back in the 90s. Yet the myth still persists that women don't ask for raises as often as men, so therefore they don't get them. If women are asking for more money as often as men, why is there still a pay gap? Are the requests being turned down more often? We do see that women are asking more and getting turned down more than men. When asked why they are being turned down more often, Cray cannot pinpoint an exact reason, but she can bust another myth that women are poor negotiators. Well, I can tell you what I don't think, which is that they are not asking in the right way. We've looked at MBA students enrolled in negotiation classes, and after each negotiation where they rate their partner, we find that women are getting rated more positively. Women will walk without career and pay advancement. If companies don't work and work fast to remedy the lack of advancement opportunities, top female talent will walk. McKinsey's 2022 Women in Workplace was titled The Great Breakup, and they found this phenomenon continues to hold true in the 2023 report. The Great Breakup describes women leaders leaving companies at higher rates than male leaders at director level, which is the group next in line for senior leadership positions. The connection between being turned down and turnover makes sense to Cray and is an area she agrees would be interesting and useful to research. Women are the largest immigrant group in many organizations, as these workplaces were designed for and designed by men. And if you realize you can't make it up somebody else's hierarchy and you're not getting the promotion you're asking for and you're not getting the raise, then you're going to leave. Setting women up for success. McKinsey's report claims that flexibility is an unlock for ambitious women's career aspirations and notes that women are now far more likely to feel set up for success in remote working. Alexis Krivkovich, senior partner at McKinsey and co-author of the report, agrees that flexible working is a benefit for women, but says that comes with an important caveat. Women are still more likely than men to work remotely at least sometimes. While that results in fewer microaggressions and better work-life balance, we know it can also result in creating two different populations of employees, those that come together and those that are remote. Based on the research, men appear to disproportionately benefit from on-site work. For example, 32% of men who work on-site say getting useful feedback is a primary advantage of being in the office, compared to 23% of women who work on-site. And I keep saying men need to be in the office so they can colonize other people's creativity, successes, and ideas. Businesses must continue to encourage women to ask for what they want. McKinsey's report states that nearly a third of women don't speak up or share an opinion, so they don't seem difficult compared to about a fifth of men overall. Not speaking up can be traced back to cultural messaging on being a good girl and not imposing on others. Women are much more vulnerable to backlash if they are too assertive and if they do speak up too much. So we've been trained either not to do it and or not have the confidence that it's going to work out in our favor. Hopefully, acknowledging that women are assertive and will ask and negotiate for higher salaries is enough to dispel the myths so that more women have the confidence to continue to ask. Ask, document what's going on so that more of us can understand that this is not a failure on our part. It's a failure of the system to not recognize how valuable we are. Anyways, go ahead, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, share. Fortune put out an article, and to this article, I say, duh. This title, Americans are sinking in debt as household expenses grow faster than income, new poll says. The economy is good on paper, but I'm not doing great. Is the economy really good on paper for anybody other than corporations? But like I said, duh. That's my analysis of this title. About 2 in 3 Americans say their household expenses have risen over the last year, but only about 1 in 4 say their income has increased in the same period. As household expenses outpace earnings, many are expressing concern about their financial futures. What's more, for Americans, household debt has either risen in the last year or just hasn't gone away. Steve Shapiro, 61, who works as an audio engineer in Pittsburgh, said that he'd been spending about $100 a week on groceries prior to this past year, but now he's shelling out about $200. My income has stayed the same. The economy is good on paper, but I'm not doing great. I feel this dude. Every single time we go to the grocery store, what we get for the same amount is just getting smaller and smaller. Every single time I walk into the grocery store, it's like I have to spend $50 to $80, even if I'm getting just something small. 8 in 10 Americans say overall household debt is higher or about the same as it was a year ago. About half say they currently have credit card debt. 4 in 10 are dealing with auto loans, and about 1 in 4 have medical debt. Just 15% say their household savings have increased over the last year. Tracy Gonzalez, 36, who works as a subcontractor in construction in San Antonio, has several $1,000s in medical debt from an emergency room visit for what she thought was a bad headache, but it turned out to be a tooth infection. They'll treat you, but the bills are crazy. Gonzalez says she tried to avoid seeking medical treatment because of the costs. Relatively few Americans say they are very or extremely confident that they could pay an unexpected medical expense, 26%, or have enough money for retirement, 18%. Only about 1/3 are extremely or very confident that their current financial situation will allow them to keep up with expenses, though an additional 42% say they're somewhat confident. I've been looking forward to retirement my entire life. Recently, I realized it's just not going to happen, said Shapiro of Pittsburgh, adding that his wife's $30,000 or so of student debt is a financial factor for his household. The couple had hoped to sell their house and move this past year, but decided instead to hold on to their mortgage rate of 3.4% rather than facing a higher rate. About 3 in 10 Americans say they've foregone a major purchase because of higher interest rates in the last year. Nearly 1 in 4 U.S. adults have student debt, with the pandemic era payment pause on federal loans ending this month, contributing to the crunch. Will Klaus, 77, of Ohio, said inflation is his biggest concern. He continues with a box of movie candy, snow caps that used to cost 99 cents is now $1.50 at the grocery store. That's 50% increase of price. Somebody is taking advantage of somebody. Americans are generally split on whether the Republicans or Democrats are better suited to handle the issue of inflation in the U.S. 3 in 10 say they trust neither party to address it. Jerry Putnam, 85, of Thompson, Georgia, says she's been following the ongoing auto strikes with sympathy for those workers. She says, I don't think it's out of line what they're asking for when you see what the CEOs are making. I think things have gotten out of control. When you walk into a store and you see the next day across the board $1 increase, that's a little strange. I understand supply and demand, the cost of shipping, etc., but it seems to me everyone's looking at their bottom line. Putnam says she also sees her 6 children struggling financially more than her generation did. They all have jobs and never been without them. they're achievers, but I think at least two or three of them will never be able to buy a home. That is what I'm seeing. That is what I've been saying for the longest. But people who tend to be older just keep talking about bootstraps and saving money when many of us are just unable to save money. We're making money to just pay our day-to-day expenses. A slight majority of Americans polled, 54%, described their household financial situation as good. Okay, that's cool, which is about the same as it's been for the last year, but down from 63% in March of 22. Older Americans are much more confident in their current finances than younger Americans. Just 39% of 18 to 29-year-olds describe their household finances as good, compared to the majority, 58% of those 30 and older. People with higher levels of education or higher household incomes are more likely than Americans overall to evaluate their finances as solid. About three-quarters of Americans describe the nation's economy as poor, which is in line with the measurements from early last year. So, what this tells me, and the rest of the article is just giving like polling answers and all that kind of stuff, but the birth rate will continue to decline. The housing market will continue to flux. People who are launching into adulthood right now will be stressed, which will impact their mental and their physical health. Most of us are in survival mode. The older generation that has had a chance to build equity in their home and be in their careers longer are a little bit more stable, but stability is not going to be a word that the younger generation can use because costs are too high and incomes are not meeting the costs. I don't know what to say about this, but I can see, like I said, the birth rate continuing to decline, housing market being stagnant. Because of that, it's just going to continue to put everybody in a state of flux. You guys go ahead and jump in the comments and let me know what you think about this. Like, comment, share. I'm loving this shift that I'm seeing. I'm loving how Black people and how women are taking their power and doing things in ways that they can make changes. Black models to boycott Melbourne Fashion Week in racism row. More than a dozen Black models are boycotting Melbourne Fashion Week in response to what they claim is industry-wide racism. The group of 13 performers are refusing to walk for runway shows or participate in casting calls in order to shine a light on the discrimination they face in Australia, which they say wouldn't be allowed in Europe or the US. They say the discrimination includes being paid significantly less than their white counterparts, the alleged use of racial slurs, as well as hairdressers talking derogatively about African hair. Black models doing Australian fashion is a form of self-destruction, says Sydney-based Awar Malek. That's what she told Sydney Morning Herald. It's absolutely the most traumatizing and dehumanizing, underpaying, and overall mentally draining week, and I have no desire to continue to participate. South Sudanese model Awal Najing added, in London, New York, and Paris, you cannot get away with what the fashion industry is doing here and how it treats its Black models. They don't seem to care or want to change. The idea for a boycott came after a group of 13 models formed a private group chat to exchange stories and support each other earlier this year. We never wanted to resort to this, but there is only so much we can take. That's what 30-year-old Jeffrey Kasubi told the newspaper. Maybe the industry will care about our experiences when it comes from a group rather than one individual that they can quickly silence or just ignore. They accused brands of tokenism, alleging they hire plenty of Black models during fashion weeks when they can pay them less. It's the only time they hire Black models in numbers, and honestly, it's because we are the cheapest at this time. It's good PR for them. It looks like, wow, these campaigns are really inclusive. But the next week and the next month, we have no work, and they go back to whitewashing fashion. The casting of models at fashion weeks is decided by exhibiting label and not festival organizers. A spokesperson for the city of Melbourne said All models participating in Fashion Week receive equal pay, with the exception of some higher profile models, including those from diverse backgrounds. Okay, so this person said, listen, one Aussie journalist suggested, how brave of me to be able to speak up on a topic when I'm not in the country to face the ramifications. Cap. Nevertheless, this comment triggered me. The trauma of dealing with these people who will never see pain through your eyes is constant, no matter how far away you look to find your peace. I'm calling out every model who ever stood idly by and let their fellow model be disrespected. I'm calling out every agent who swept the concerns of Black or people of color talents under the rug. I'm calling out every publication that whitewashed the skin of their Black, people of color models, calling out every brand that failed to keep it a buck and pay us the same as white models. I'm calling out every makeup artist that never had my foundation shade on set till this day. Every hairstylist that still chooses to stay ignorant by not educating themselves on different hair textures, but still have the audacity to want credit for the work. Calling out every head of a brand that fails to consult Black and people of color bodies when making decisions at the table. I'm calling out every photographer that can't light Black skin, but still fails to test with Black models. I'm calling out every PR agency that collaborates with Black and people of color content creators and still fail to pay them. I'm calling out every media agency that claims to create content with diverse casts, yet fail to hire a diverse crew. I'm calling out everyone and their grandma who still thinks it's okay to not speak up and do the right thing. Shame on you for forever wanting us to stay silent. Nyalak Leth, who relocated to the UK, where Black models are celebrated and valued, said, in 2019, behind the scenes at Sydney Fashion Week, one of the Black models approached me and asked me to braid her hair. And I said, but darling, there are so many empty seats in the hair section. But I could tell that she was really reluctant to even ask for help because she didn't trust that anyone knew how to do her hair. And she was definitely right. Okay, so this person that goes by the name of Jeffster Kiss on Instagram said, this is nothing new. If anything, it's been something that we have bottled up for years, and we are finally using our voice to make changes. For years, I've been silent to not speak out about the fashion industry in Australia because I've been scared of retaliation or the fear of being dropped or not booked. Because apparently speaking out against such things in this country makes you a villain. I've been fortunate enough to have a career in this industry and work with some amazing people, but I've also encountered some ignorant people with racist, harmful behavior that needs to be called out. Everyone wants to be a model, but no one talks about what being a person of color in this white majority industry takes a toll on your self-worth. You're either tokenized by brands or told that the reason you're not getting jobs is because you don't have the Australian look. Having people on set say racially insensitive things, damaging your hair because they don't know how to work with it, or getting a makeup artist not doing your makeup properly because hey, they've never bothered to get a person of color to practice. So you become their experiments. Black, dark-skinned women have it 10 times worse. I'm tired. We are sick and tired. The irony, if you say something, you're the angry Black person, Black ungrateful person, right? Well, call me ungrateful then, because I don't care. Australia has shown through the years that Indigenous and people of color are never appreciated in the creative space, because for us to make it, we need to go international, because this country apparently after 235 years still caters to the white majority Australia. The reality is that we have to come to this more embarrassing, because I'm not surprised because our voice are always silenced when we come as one. But when united is stronger and has more impact. This is a bigger conversation, and collectively, we need to see these behaviors change because Australia does not only cater to the majority. So that is from Jeffrey Kiss. The models boycotting not just MFW, but the larger industry have said they're speaking out despite fears for their career in a bid to bring reform. Jeffrey continued, I don't want to speak out, but I have to, or nothing will change. Chief Executive of Australian Fashion Council, Leela Nija Hebrew, told Sydney Morning Herald the Australian fashion industry is uniquely placed to actively engage in equitable, diverse, and inclusive responsible practice. The Australian Fashion Council is not involved in the running of fashion weeks or brand marketing events, but we do require all AFC members to abide by our code of conduct. This stipulates that we do not tolerate any form of discrimination or inappropriate conduct towards others based on gender, race, or national origin or ethnic origin. So they don't allow it. Anyways, you guys go ahead, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. Like, comment, share.